The word is consistent as admonition that when we love God, truly love God, we'll keep His commandments. That's how we prove to God that we love Him. We can say that we love Him, even believe that we love Him, but if we love Him, we'll keep His commandments. There's no arguing that. But God made it easy when He was asked which of the commandments is the greatest. He answered, loving God is the first and greatest commandment, and there's a second one of equal importance, to love your neighbor as yourself.
Welcome to the Ignite with Barry Maguire podcast, where Barry's book and passion for spreading God's love are guaranteed to ignite your life. Now listen in and prepare to have your life ignited.
You know, it's interesting that God didn't make the Great Commission go into the world and pray or go into the world and read the Bible. Why not? Praying and reading the Bible are God's primary conduits for teaching us and telling us what He wants us to do. The problem is we're human, and we don't always do what we're told to do. So while the Word of God is replete, its admonition to be His disciple, His ambassador, to be salt and light, to be the city set on the hill for all to see, called to the ministry of reconciliation, to be a defender of the faith, most Christians remain silent in their faith. In fact, less than 1% of us are actually sharing our faith on a daily basis. The fields are white for harvest, but the laborers are few. 86% of the unchurched know the world's out of control, would like to believe there's a God who can make sense out of it, and are looking for somebody to tell them, but less than 1% of us are telling them. That's the problem. 80% of our population is lost, living their lives outside the walls of the church. And how are they going to know there's a God who loves them unless someone tells them, unless you tell them? We've stopped telling them. God help us. The word is consistent as admonition that when we love God, truly love God, we'll keep His commandments. That's how we prove to God that we love Him. We can say that we love Him, even believe that we love Him, but if we love Him, we'll keep His commandments. There's no arguing that. The challenge is, how do we do that? It's a tall order. But God made it easy when He was asked which of the commandments is the greatest. He answered, loving God is the first and greatest commandment, and there's a second one of equal importance, to love your neighbor as yourself. And then He made this mind-boggling statement that when you fulfill these two commandments, you will have fulfilled them all. What? That means you only have two to focus on? 2 commandments to do, not 10? And yet we satisfy all 10? Such a deal. So let's focus on these 2 commandments, all right? The loving God part is pretty easy. Love God with your whole heart and make Him your highest priority. It's the second of these 2 commandments that's the most puzzling. Why is loving your neighbor all that important? Understand that it's not speaking of those who live next door to your house, okay? In a much wider context. It includes everyone you influence, if only for a moment or a visual. And when you love them as much as you love yourself, you're as concerned for their salvation as you are your own, which brings an entirely new level of responsibility and accountability into your life. In John 17, Jesus said, I sanctify myself not for my Father, but for them that they might also be sanctified. The game changer comes when you realize that everything you say and do every moment of every day leads people closer or further away from God. That's why loving God and loving your neighbor fulfills all the law, because when you value the salvation of everyone around you as much as you do your own, you automatically fulfill the law, not out of obligation or legalism, but out of your passion to move everyone every day closer to Jesus. That's your job.
If you enjoyed today's episode, let us know. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review to help us reach more listeners. Remember, sharing your faith ignites your faith. See you next time on the Ignite with Barry Maguire podcast.